Hello, I'm David Breeden. I'm the senior minister at First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis, and this is Coffee and Wisdom, a humanist look at some theological concerns along the way. Thanks for joining me today. For the past couple of weeks, we've been looking at inspiration and charisma. The idea that these things used to, in the old days, come from somewhere beyond, but nowadays we think, well, maybe not. Oh, well, yes, charisma. Here's Napoleon leading the charge. No doubt this guy had charisma, but what is it? Well, the term comes from Greek charismata, meaning gifts or graces. But the charism in Christian theology is a little bit different, even though that's actually where it comes from and how the Greek word gets into the English language. The charismatic movement, and Wiki tells us fundamental to the movement, is the experience of baptism with the Holy Spirit and the use of spiritual gifts, charismata. So that is indeed the charismatic movement, and it's biblically based, as you might think, from Romans 12:6 through 8. Paul writes, we have gifts that differ according to the grace given to us: prophecy in proportion to faith, ministry in ministering, the teacher in teaching, the exhorter in exhortation, the giver in generosity, the leader in diligence, the compassionate in cheerfulness, and that's from the New Revised Standard Version. So those are the gifts of the Spirit. Those are the original charismata. But the term changes in time, and in the 20th century, Max Weber begins to look at this idea of charisma a little bit differently, but not as differently as we now do. But he sets this course in which he says it's treated as endowed with supernatural, superhuman, or at least specifically exceptional powers or qualities. So you notice how Weber is pulling away a little bit from the traditional meaning. It could be supernatural or superhuman, but it is at least exceptional in terms of its powers and qualities. That is charisma. And indeed, this begins to set a course in which we can now go to school and learn charisma. You can go to the Charisma Academy. Well, Mr. Charisma himself is Dale Carnegie, who lived from 1888 to 1955. He probably had more than anyone to do with how the idea of leaders with charisma can be trained than anyone else. And his famous book is How to Win Friends and Influence People, the first and still the best book of its kind to lead you to success. And indeed, you can listen to it as an audio recording nowadays. Well, the book itself was first published in 1936, and now over 30 million copies have been sold. So Dale Carnegie certainly hit a nerve in within the popular culture, and this book has become the sort of model for self-help books and also books on dynamic leadership. Well, what does he actually have to say? Well, you too can go to the Dale Carnegie Training Centers. They are scattered around the United States if you want to study this. It's broken down this way: only you can take charge of your personal development. That sounds like a good place to start, doesn't it? Two, development is a personal process. You got to do it yourself. I'm with them so far. Three, success often occurs in places where you least expect it. That's interesting. Four, focus on the little things around you, not just the bigger picture. Ah, that's that alligator in the swamp idea here, isn't it? Five, improving your listening skills will make you a better communicator. And Dale Carnegie really leaned on that idea that you must be sincere in these things that he's training you. You can't fake it until you make it. You've got to be sincere. So listen, actually, he was saying. Six, never stop learning new skills and practicing basic ones. And seven, success starts with failure and is a trial and error process. So you can see how this leads us on a path of personal development, but also a way of us thinking about how we interact with the world around us. 6 ways to make people like you. And again, this is from How to Win Friends and Influence People. One, become genuinely interested in other people. And again, this is part of the Carnegie way, genuinely interested, not just faking it. Second one, smile. There you have it. Be cheerful. Remember that a person's name is, to that person, the sweetest and most important sound in any language. Again, the Carnegie method leans very, very heavily on that personal touch. Learn people's names. Then be a good listener. That goes back to the previous one. Talk in terms of the other person's interest, not yours. Don't just go in talking about your latest hobby horse for the day, and make the other person feel important, and do it sincerely. So again, genuinely, sincerely, that's the way Dale Carnegie taught us to do it. Well, nowadays, the Dale Carnegie method that began in the mid 1930s has been broken down into all kinds of teaching tools. This one says the 3 keys to charisma: presence, power, and warmth. And again, notice how this all goes back to Carnegie, though. Presence, that is paying full attention. The power, you have been through the mill, you have failed, but you know something about something. And then warmth, and this again is this genuine quality. So you can see how Dale Carnegie's method would catch on, because he's really teaching us to be a person who cares about other people. And nowadays, yes, it is an industry. Charisma, how to develop charisma, confidence, magnetism, and social skills. Or the charisma myth, how anyone can master the art and science of personal magnetism. And notice this magnetism coming in to the discussion. Dale Carnegie doesn't really talk about that exactly, but he does talk about that way of being genuine so that people do enter your sphere, as it were. And charisma, how to inspire, impress, and energize everyone you meet. And yes, the industry is still based on the ideas of Dale Carnegie way back in the Great Depression era. And all of this is a very long way from what St. Paul was talking about when he was talking about the gifts of the Holy Spirit. And so we see this vast turnaround from a God-given gift that you take it, you don't ask for it, you get it, and then you're happy with it, to a skill that can be developed. Well, thanks for listening this week. Next week, I want to talk about the changing face of inspiration. And that is the ideas about how, no, it probably doesn't come from beyond anymore, we think. So, how do we deal with it in terms of neuroscience and the science of actually being inspired? And also what's come to be known as the flow experience. Thanks for listening this week. I do a live program of Coffee Minister on Fridays. That is on Zoom, and I'd be very happy to send you the link for that. Just email me at minister@firstunitarian.org, and I look forward to talking with you. Thanks so much for being with us this week, and I'll see you on Friday or next Tuesday.